The views, comments, and opinions of the following program do not necessarily reflect those of Morris Media Studios, MorrisMediaLive.com, or its affiliates. Listener discretion is advised.
My reason for believing in extremism, intelligently directed extremism, extremism in defense of liberty, extremism in quest of justice, is because I firmly believe in my heart that the day that the black man takes an uncompromising step and realizes that he's within his rights, when his own freedom is being jeopardized, to use any means necessary to bring about his freedom or put a halt to that injustice, I don't think he'll be by himself. I live in America where there are only 22 million blacks against probably 160 million whites. One of the reasons that I'm in no way reluctant or hesitant to do whatever is necessary to see that black people do something to protect themselves, I honestly believe that the day that they do, many whites will have more respect for them, and that there will be more whites on their side than are now on their side with these little wishy-washy love thy enemy approach that they've been using up to now.
Stop what you're doing, because we're about to ruin the image and the style that you're used to. Welcome to Melanated Politics, y'all.
I'm David Harper. How's everybody doing?
And I'm Eric Clark. Thank you so much for tuning in. As always, go ahead and call us in live right on Crenshaw Boulevard at 323-815-4204. Mr. Harper, how are you today, my dear brother?
You know what? I woke up this morning ready to go. A lot to unpack with the results of the election, and I'm feeling great, very blessed and fortunate to be here at Morris Media Studios with the lovely poetess and our producer extraordinaire, Sheena, who is, I know, listening in intently, and, we're ready to do this.
Absolutely.
It's good to see you, Eric.
It's good to be seen.
All right.
It's good to be heard.
All right, here we go.
Shout out to everyone that always have been just a dear friend and a supporter of Melanated Politics since day one. You know who you are. Too many names to call off. Joe Biden. The celebration in so many cities, so many states around the world. That snake in the grass. Donald Trump obviously has denied the results of the election. He's mad at Fox News. My bad, Trump TV. So there's just so many celebrations everywhere. The momentum of Black Lives Matter, the black vote, black women getting out there voting, Stacey Abrams in Georgia. I mean, it's going down. Now, who will run the party known as the Democrats from this point on, Mr. Harper? That's like that will be the question of the day to all the talking heads out there. But Joe Biden got approximately 78,640,344 votes. And that dog-faced rat, snake in the grass, Donald John Trump, he received, approximately 70 million people. We also will talk about those people that voted for Donald Trump, because Donald Trump is nothing but a symbol of what America is all about as far as the culture, the system, the history, the attitude, the everyday lifestyles, the 2-3 Americas all in one. Holler at me.
The amount of people that voted, I think it's up at 72 million right now for Trump.
Yes.
And like you said before, Joe Biden's at 78. So right now, we're living in, two countries that have two very different belief systems. And that was evident after the election, more evident than, you can think of in 2016. It's solidified. And the challenge and the mountain that Biden and Kamala Harris are going to have to climb is, how do you govern? And that same mountain, how it equates to black folks, melanated folks, in the United States, is going to mean that we're going to have to be engaged all the time. The work that was done in the 60s in the civil rights movement, and when it comes to economics, when it comes to our education, when it comes to anything dealing with criminal justice, even here in California, with the props, what went down with the propositions that happened. Black folks have to stay engaged. I know that's going to be a challenge because not all of us are engaged. We have this conversation all the time.
Yes.
So what's going to happen from here going forward in the next 2 years? Because every 2 years, for those who don't realize this, for those who watch our show who are really don't follow politics, there's the presidential election year, which is right now 2020. We just had it, but then there's an off year, a midterm election where you're talking about the House and Senate candidates. That vote is every 2 years. So the next 2 years, we have to do this again, understanding that there's so many people that don't have our interest. And when I mean our interest, I'm talking about our basic interest to fight a pandemic or to have just fairness living in this country with criminal justice reform, or fairness living in this country when it comes to access to capital or some type of equity. So yeah, it's going to be a constant movement, but it's nothing new because we went through it. We've been going through it, and as Brother Malcolm said in the video, by any means necessary.
Absolutely.
And those means have to be extremely strategic. They have to be strategic. So those are my thoughts before we get down in the videos and get a deeper dive into the data of the election and all that stuff.
Well, we're on the other side of the celebration, and all these different states. I mean, the passion was just on another level. We'll talk about this on the other side of the video because there's so much that I have to say. Because the bottom line is, black folk, melanated folk, have been voting for the Democrats for years and years and years. Correct? Before it switched over. Okay? And people vote the personal issues. Correct?
Yes.
Kitchen table issues, whether it's in the Bible Belt, the Rust Belt, the South, the North, the Midwest, et cetera, right? But as far as melanated people and melanated brothers and sisters, our kitchen table issues, just a few, whoever gets voted in, right? Will that stop me from getting pulled over because I don't wear sunscreen when I go to the beach? And the child support and the economics in the community. You know, we have life and death issues, bro, that are outside of, everyone coming out to vote. I get that. But bottom line, kitchen table issues, life or death issues for melanated people are very important, and the same passion and energy that melanated people had asking other melanated people to vote and to support these Democratic candidates, we need that same passion to not only hold these politicians, potty tricksters accountable, but we also need to hold each other accountable for coming back in the community after the voting is over and say, you know what? How long are we going to continue to spend our money with others instead of spending it for ourselves? And because we don't do that enough, that's why a lot of our people don't vote. We'll talk about this more on the other side of the break. I just wanted to give you some black coffee before we put some cream and sugar up in it. Let's check out the celebration of the election of Joseph Biden. time. Come on.
Okay, so
That was a cold video, Mr. Harper. Proceed,
that
please,
was a cold
my brother.
video. Hey, listen, I'm. There's definitely reasons to celebrate, but only for, a short period of time. Only because, again, like what you said, President Trump. I'm just, don't get me wrong. That's exciting.
I just don't want to get caught up in the symbolism of it.
Donald Trump won more votes, garnered more votes than he did the first time. And this was after a pandemic. This was after our economy collapsing because of the pandemic and the way he approached it. And this is after the world not only saw...
This is after he got contracted COVID-19.
After he got contracted, again,
and part of his administration.
Part of his administration and
Yes.
people dying, let's say like... different people in his administration and other people dying from COVID, he still got the votes. And this is also after, and this is where it comes in for melanated people, when it comes for black folks and brown folks. But we're talking about black here. This is after the country saw George Floyd die on camera. This is after the country saw, well, they didn't see Breonna Taylor get shot, but they know Breonna Taylor's name.
Okay, now,
so this is where there were still 70 plus million people that voted for him.
Okay.
So don't get me wrong, I'm happy to see people
Okay, will that movement be hijacked for the racism is not as bad as people like us say it is crowd?
I don't think that message will be hijacked. What I do think is that, and what I've been seeing from different outlets is that Democrats need to leave the racism to the side because it's identity politics.
They're not getting pulled over. It's easy.
It's easy for them to say that.
But just like in our Native American brothers and sisters, which we are the Native Americans, people are like you and us. But anyway, I said that's another book by Ivan Van Sertima called "They Came Before Columbus." But anyway.
I'm glad you mentioned Native Americans because real quick in Arizona,
yes,
the publication The Independent as well as Vox did a piece on 60 to 90% of the Navajo Nation in Arizona went to Joe Biden.
Donald Trump, his black male vote had increased. He received more black male votes than he did the last time. He received more overall votes than he did the last time.
Yes, but everybody, you're going to hear that Donald Trump received more votes from white women, more votes from black women, more votes from black men. But
what does that say about America? What does that say about the system? What does that say?
This is what it says.
Would you work on the car all day if it didn't get fixed? If you couldn't drive your car to the store, you can go up under there and pull out your wrenches and your tools. And
this is what it says: is that this America is what we know it to be. This illusion. America has never generally, just to be talking, this is a new point, they've never been united.
And you know why? Because there's never been reconciliation like they had in South Africa.
Reconciliation is a big part of it, but another part of it, the truth be told, is there's a reconciliation part, and then there's the financial part. Reconciliation needs to come first, absolutely, but so many people, when they talk about when we bring up reconciliation, so many people will say, "Well, I wasn't a part of that because." My family came. Let's say my family came in the 40s and 50s.
We moved from Manhattan Beach. That was an original African melanated neighborhood. You understand me? And give the folks if that's how you feel.
But see that's the whole point. If you received any success in this country, it was off of the history, the foundation, which was the assassination, the slaughter of Native Americans and the slavery of black people. So any success that you have in America is connected to the demise of black folks and Native Americans. And that's really the conversation.
In the 17th, 18th centuries, King Cotton was was the sack for America. Not only did the South profit from King Cotton, the northern industries profited from that. The European countries profited from that. You have the biggest cotton sack in the whole world from free enslaved labor.
Exactly.
Now, I don't want to downplay there was many undocumented revolts, which actually led to the Civil War revolts. Toussaint Louverture, Nat Turner, et cetera, Denmark Vesey, Gabriel Prosser, et cetera, et cetera. Go ahead, brother.
Where I know there's going to be some people watching this, and they might be saying, say, why are they talking about, cotton and the slaughter? Hold up real quick. They're going to be asking the question, why are we talking about this? Because nobody's living in that time now. We're not living in that time, but the remnants of the suffrage is still alive.
Yes. And
that comes out to our criminal justice reform. That comes out to equity that hasn't been resolved.
Tied together.
And so it hasn't been tied together, but it's an extension. When Donald Trump talks about opportunity zones, there's no data on opportunity zones.
Yes.
When he's talking about what he's done for black folks, the economy for black folks has been the best under him. That momentum, these are facts. That momentum started under President Obama after he took over the recession in 2008, and it was slow. It was slowly and trickly climbing. But the bottom line is that even if that's true, do you feel like black folks feel like, hey, this time has been great? Because here's the thing: there's the money aspect to it, but we both have black sons. We both have to teach. Your son is older than my son, but I know you taught your son on what to observe, what to look out for, and understand that road is going to be different for him. Just like I told my son. I'm telling my son, right? My son grew up in a time when he saw the first president he saw was Barack Obama, somebody that looked like him. He grew up in seeing Black Panther. And I'll try to be real quick with this. I'm not going to be on my soapbox, but my wife tried to show him a movie from I think it was Groundhog Day. It was Groundhog Day with
stay on the soapbox
with Bill Murray. You know what my son said? We're the black folks. That's what he said. We're black people. We're the black people. And I was like, well, dude, it didn't used to be like this. Yeah. This is what he's saying from a movie that was in the 80s or early 90s. And so I say that because he's witnessing the protesting. He's put out Black Lives Matters signs out. He's understanding his history. And at the same time, he's saying, like, I know there's good white folks out there, but he's saying, like, if there are good white folks out there, why is Trump being elected?
Okay, I get that too, but at the same time, why hasn't racism gone away since there's so many good people in America? Election after election, president after president, congressman after congressman and woman, senator after senator, local politician after local politician, school board member after school board member.
Now you're going to a deeper conversation. Because if you're saying racism hasn't gone away, what you have to...
And what I mean by that, I mean the power to control someone's life. Not, I don't like someone. That's prejudice. Or being prejudiced. But go ahead, brother.
The way the vote count went in this election is that there's a large number of Americans, more than 50% of Americans, that are comfortable with the way Donald Trump governs. And what that tells black folks is that there are a bunch of people that to themselves yes. won't say they'll have black people as relatives, they'll have black people as friends, they'll have black folks as someone to hang out with, however it may be, but they are comfortable with someone that doesn't mind black folks getting killed in the streets when it comes to by the hands of police. A person that doesn't mind, doesn't take a pandemic seriously. A person that doesn't mind basically cozying up, not even cozying, just being like okay with militias in white supremacist groups or white extremist groups.
Yes.
So them themselves compartmentalize their love for black culture and for black people. But when it gets down deeply into the way they want the country to run, it's okay if they have Trump. And that is a much deeper. That's no different than in the 60s or even in the 60s or even the 40s, 50s when you had that white man run the grocery store in town, and they have black customers, and they have they service the black community, but when it comes time with them to vote, they're going to vote against black interest, which is American interest.
Yes.
Black interest does not take away, hurt, maim anything to white folks.
Yes.
What it does, it makes us it legitimizes us as being Americans and being equal. And if that is more of a threat, then that's then that's a deeper issue, which frankly it is, which it proves. We can simplify this for anybody who's watching this, any football fan, any college football fan. Ask yourself, why are there many black head coaches? In the SEC, the Southeastern Conference, in college football, I don't think they have one black coach. They've had times where they had a black coach here, a black coach there, but they have a high number of black athletes playing for them. They have a high number of black athletes that get drafted. They have a high number of black participation in that sport. But when it comes time for leadership and power, we're not there. Now, is that because we're not qualified, or does that that symbol of power, of us having power or having control over decisions, makes it challenging? And it's just a deeper dive into the makeup of this country, but it goes to show you why we have to be politically involved. You mentioned will voting stop you from getting pulled over? Will it stop the whole basically punishing black men for being good fathers? Will it do that? Here's the thing. I can tell you that it won't do it today, nor tomorrow, nor in a couple months. But what it will do.
Well, a lot of brothers that don't vote, that's why they won't vote, and they don't vote because it won't stop that.
Can I give you an example?
Please.
In California, it was Prop 25. Forgive me if I have my props mixed up a little bit, but basically it was the Prop. I think it was Prop 25 that wanted to end cash bonding and the cash bail system, and give that responsibility to a judge who could weigh it out, so families wouldn't have to dish out money for their son or their daughter to get out of jail, even if they're not a threat, because basically it's a business. In California, that bill failed. Basically, people voted to keep the cash bail industry going. And I say that to say really quick, and this is the main point, facts. Look at Joe Biden's platform. That's what he wants to end, cash bails. So if he makes it federal, you can't do it in the state. That means California, no matter how they voted, if the federal government says, no, you can't do that anymore, that means the cash bail system changes. So that's where voting comes into play, when even in your state, because we know these states, because we're a republic, that's another conversation for another day. Even if your states do something, federally, if the federal government says no, that means they can't do it. And that's where voting comes into play. I understand where our brothers feel that way, but at the same time, that's where voting comes into play.
Our brother, Mr. Castro, our young 12-year-old son, Tamir Rice, Breonna Taylor.
Yes.
Ahmaud Arbery.
Yes.
George Floyd.
Eric Gardner.
Tamir,
You said Tamir.
You know what I'm saying? So will this Biden-Harris administration, will they pass a bill or have an executive order to take away the salaries and the pensions of these Klan and uniform cops who are already predispositions and already prejudge our communities as criminals, when I don't see them riding around Dylan Roof's neighborhood jacking people. I don't see them in Timothy McVeigh, the worst according to their ideologies and their stuff. One of the worst terrorist acts ever in America was Oklahoma City, right? Did you see the cops go arrest all the young white men, white boys that look like Timothy McVeigh after that? Yes or no?
No. They didn't. They didn't. They're relatable.
But if you get caught with something on Imperial, Vermont, everyone who looks like you was getting jacked.
Absolutely.
So something this affects a lot of brothers than we can even imagine.
That is true. That's facts.
Especially
facts.
in your big cities, your Chicago's, your Los Angeles,
Your New York's.
New York,
Yeah.
New Jersey,
Yes.
Newark, Miami,
Philly.
you know.
Detroit, everywhere,
Detroit.
every major city where pretty much every major city.
And two more things before we proceed to rock the mic right. Two of our biggest issues for melanated people that are outside of voting, we cannot agree on anything. Number one, community, families, personal, friendships, facts. Somehow we are now in a society where facts don't even matter. No one's opinion matters. It's all about the facts. Go check in someone's school and tell them your opinion on the test instead of the facts. And
Right.
see how long it'll take for security to come get you.
Right.
And our other one is we do not have pertinent and substantial loyalty towards each other on a basic brother and sister prior to integration on that level. Okay. Now I say that because of the, what did you say, 72 million,
72 million, yeah.
Americans voted for that dog-faced rat snake in the grass, Donald Trump. But I tell you what, though, let's listen to the Trump voters themselves.
All right, cool.
He was rigged, and they're going to prove it. And it's going to get overturned, and he will be the president of the United States again for 2020.
And we came here to support the president because we believe that there's a lot of voter irregularities, and I think they need to be checked out.
USA! 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 USA!
We're here in downtown Washington, D.C., and really the center of the city has been locked down by police because of this march. Various different Trump-supporting groups have come together under the umbrella of Stop the Steal. They've come here because they believe the past U.S. election was robbed of Donald Trump. The real winner was Donald Trump, not Joe Biden. It's important for us to mention every time we repeat that allegation, the Trump campaign has not presented evidence of widespread fraud, but these people believe the election was stolen from him.
I feel like he didn't get a fair shake. No. It's an election, not a scandal. He needed his fair shake, and that's why we're here.
He never had a chance to start with. Everybody hated him from the get-go.
And the whole point is all of our vote matters.
All of them.
Not just the blue, not just the red. They all matter, and this right here is showing why it matters.
I came here because I am anti-communist, anti-socialism, pro-life, pro-gun, pro-America, freedom first, no mandatory vaccines, no mandatory anything. We are Americans. We are for freedom, America first, and Trump is America first, and that's why I'm here.
She's also pro-crazy, if you didn't get that. As far as the loyalty we were discussing prior, if I'm lying, then I am flying, and my feet have not left the ground. We have a call right now, Mr. Harper, so let's go ahead and take the call. Thank you for calling in to Melanated Politics. Tell us how you really feel.
Hey, brothers. Good morning. This is Norman. Thanks again for having this show. I think it's really useful for us all to have this discussion.
Thank you, Norman.
I just had 2 points. One is, if it wasn't for the pandemic, Trump was probably going to still be in there. Right? He barely lost. It took a pandemic to get him out of there.
Mm-hmm.
2, look, I think this is what Brother Eric is saying. Bottom line is that these folks have been consistent. They've always been acting the same way. And we keep thinking they're going to change. And they just aren't. I mean, that's why we get so frustrated. There's that whole story. You can Google it. You may have heard it, the scorpion and the frog, right? Scorpion and the frog. Look that story up, and that just kind of explains it. So my point is what are we going to do internally within our own families, within our own community, to make the change? We got to change our mindset. And our first mindset needs to change is that some white guy or white woman is going to come in and save us. We need the political power. But and we need to vote and get the right folks in there, but we also have to take the other path. That's all I have to say. Again, thanks, and keep up the good work, brothers.
Thank you so much. Appreciate
Thank you so much. Point well made. Thank you, my brother.
Okay, first I'm going to answer the question. Now I want to go to the video to Norman's statement, which I agree with 1,000%. I don't. Okay, melanated people, I think, understand this clearly, that we can't. There's certain folks we can't count on, but we have to navigate carefully politically. When it comes to us, we have to. We're like what you said. We have to band together. We have to know how to band together and get specific policies down and ride with them, and have that ride in the Democratic Party. Norman, I'm sure he's been watching the bickering that's going back and forth between moderate Democrats and progressive Democrats, which really does not help the black community. It really, the type of stuff that's talking, it really doesn't help the black community. And being that the CBC, the Congressional Black Caucus right now, is really the largest caucus in the Democratic Party, they're going to have to, they're going to be responsible for winding the rhetoric down and bringing it together, because you have some progressive black folks, and then you have you have a good portion of moderate black folks. So they're going to have to bring everybody in, and hopefully everybody will follow.
Okay, have you ever seen The King of New York?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Classic film.
Okay, check this out.
Classic film.
Will the CBC, the Congressional Black Caucus,
yes,
will they walk into the Oval Office with Kamala Harris and President-elect Joe Biden? Will the Congressional Black Caucus, the members, when they walk in the room, will they look these two people in the eye, right, and give them a frank line, give them a frank white line? If a nickel bag gets sold in the park, I want in on it for their communities. Talk to me quick, not slick.
They're not gonna put it that way. They're not gonna word it like the King of New York. They're not gonna do that. What they're going to do, because this is the reality for black folks. To get what we need,
yes,
we have to play the long game, but it has to be an impact. There has to be impact first and foremost. So they're going to have to strategize. One, they have to win those 2 Georgia Senate seats. That's number one.
Yes.
Because this is a moot point. If they don't win the Senate seats, because if Joe Biden ends up doing, which he'll probably do regardless, if he ends up doing executive order and bypassing the Senate and just doing executive orders, that's a temporary fix, but it's not law, it's not policy, it's temporary.
Yes.
That's why Joe Biden go in and take out Trump's executive orders. Real quick.
Ooh.
What needs to happen is that we have to win those Senate races, then go in, and then
now,
make.
He has announced,
yes,
the 5 executive orders
Yes.
that he's going to just sign his signature on. He's already professed that.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Which is not and which is smart.
No, okay. We don't have to break those down like improper fraction. The audience, they know this stuff. Okay. But the bottom line is this: I did not read one sentence, word, prepositional phrase, noun, adjective, run-on sentence, any 7 parts of speech about an executive order to lessen the
You don't want that
gap.
You don't want that to be an executive order. That's why. You want that
These are the people that put you in office.
Yeah, but you want that to be law, so nobody can rip it up. You want that to be law. Just like
it make the point though.
You can. Here's the thing. This is the politics of it.
You said you're not black if you don't vote for me.
Right. But here's the thing. If they win the Senate,
Joe Biden said that.
Joe Biden did say that, and you know what? Black folks voted for him. If they win the Senate seat, the House comes up with a bill. The Senate passes it. If we pass it with Kamala Harris being the tiebreaker, then it becomes in the law. You know, real quick for those who do not understand, when it becomes in the law, just like with Obamacare, they've been trying to take it away, but it's a law. It's hard to do. They can punch it, but it won't go away. We need policies to be law and not executive actions.
Okay, I get that. Okay, we all get that. But the point as a matter of principle.
As a matter of principle, you play
like
chess.
That's like someone paints your house, right? That's like you go paint someone's house.
Right.
You build a concrete driveway.
Yes.
Or you do some type of add-on construction. And you said if you just do a good job, if you just come support what I have going on, if you just do this, as soon as the job is done, you get paid. Now the job has been done. Now you're telling me I get paid later?
No. Wrong, because the job isn't done. The job
was
isn't
that a
done.
good example?
That was not a good example.
You're not right.
The better example is this. This is the best example. Everybody can relate to this.
Yes.
America has to take this medicine. But you know, there's parts of the medicine, even though America needs
We've been taking cyanide for 400 years.
America needs to take this medicine. It needs to take this medicine for melanated people. But you know what? You can't. I got you. You can't just out say, "Hey, you're gonna take this medicine."
Yes.
You gotta cook the food first and put the medicine in the food. You can't put it out there. There's some medicine like gummy Flintstones that people can take all the time. But there's like lima beans. Like personally, my grandma Anna Harper. I love you. She loved lima beans. I couldn't stand lima beans.
I love you too, ma'am.
God rest her dead. She would love you. The lima beans I couldn't take. But you know, whenever I stayed with my dad and she was there, I would eat it and I would mix it in with the food. But that's the only way you could do it. But I needed them, but that's the way you could do it. But the point is, I know we're talking about food and cyanide and all that stuff. The point is that Joe Biden, black folks,
yes.
This is the long game, and you have to play chess with this.
Okay,
you have to play chess with this.
I get that.
And part of the chess game is winning the Georgia special election, because if it becomes a law,
Okay.
It's harder. You can't if he does an executive action.
Okay.
All that work it doesn't mean anything because if Joe Biden lose or Kamala Harris lose, the next president goes in, hey, I'm reversing that executive order.
Well, let me tell you the difference of loyalty, okay, before we move on to the momentum of the Black Lives Movement and the momentum of just unprecedented numbers of melanated folks going out there voting for the Harris-Biden ticket. We didn't show that video of the Trump supporters because we don't think people never saw Trump supporters on YouTube or television or in person. We did that to give another exemplification of how Trump loyalists will jump off a bridge for this man in a river full of piranhas. Okay, now let me make this one last point. Now, I pose a question to you, my brother. What will they do for melanated people? Now, check this out. Look, what did Donald do? What did Donald John Trump do, and what did he say to his core base supporters that he actually came through with, that he kept his word on with their far right integrity? He said he'll build that wall. They were saying build that wall at his rallies. He tried to get the wall built. Now he's fabricating and exaggerating, as we say around these parts. They're putting extras on it. Okay, he said when he gets it, Muslims can't come. He had the Muslim ban. Okay.
Which is executive order, which is gone now.
Okay, and not only that, he had Latin American children locked up.
But 30%,
they went 4,800.
But 30% of Latin Americans, whether they're Cuban, whatever, they voted for him.
The Republican, he said he was going to do this, that, and the other. He got in there and he did it. He kept his word to his supporters.
I see your point.
You know why? Because the Republicans, they hold their folks accountable. Well, the Democrats do the same thing.
Can I say something to that? Can I say something to that real quick?
Yes. I'm not saying they won't.
Let me say something to that real quick.
I'm just putting the question out there. Food for thought.
This is not a party thing. This is a people thing.
I like that.
This is not a party thing. This is a people thing.
I like that.
The reason why Donald Trump could keep his word to the people that voted for him, because most of those people aren't melanated.
I get that.
Hold up real quick, and let me just go to this real quick. Most of those people who are Christian evangelicals, white Christian evangelicals, I wish, I should have popped the video. Forgive me for not showing this video of that woman.
We'll show it next time. That preacher, we showed her before. Paul.
Man.
We showed her before.
Man, forgive me. Let me explain something to you.
I recall.
When you are,
we'll show her next week.
When you are serving a population that's not melanated, that's not even remotely by the millions as diverse. And don't get me wrong, people will say, "Oh yeah, black people voted for him. Oh yeah, Latino people voted for him. Oh yeah, now he did get a good portion of Latino, 30%. That's in their community. They got to have that. I know their communities. It's not a monolith because you got Puerto Ricans, Mexican, Venezuela. Anyway, I digress. But anyway, majority of people he has to work with are white folks or people that care about their money.
I get that, but
that's it.
Oh, this is the thing. Okay, I get that, but the bottom line is you and I and everyone. I don't like to use everyone. Okay.
Yeah.
You, myself, my brother, and most of the people that we're lucky enough and honored to have watching us right now. If someone owed you some money for a job that you did and said, meet me here to pick up the money, and they never came.
I love that. Let's stay on that analogy. Because you know what?
We're asking the Democrats, you owe us.
No, hold up.
Meet me at McDonald's parking lot.
But as black people.
On Crenshaw and King.
As black people, you tell Ken Crenshaw and King. They're not going to meet us there. They're going to
meet us there when it's time to get out the vote.
I know. But here's the thing. That's real. I'm just being honest with you.
I'm being honest too.
Here's the thing. I'm glad you lose. Yes. I'm glad everybody, for black folks, we know that analogy when we loan somebody money. But as black folks, we know the person we loaning the money to. And we don't, when we give our money, we know when they can give it, how they can give it, and know we know if we landing it like, look, I want to see, like, I'll give you an example. If you dealing with someone like, and they come Joe Biden is that person that comes like, please, I will change my ways this time. I will pay you back. I'll change my ways. Now, in our minds, we like, yeah, we see it. We believe it when we see it. Now, I don't think there's any black person in the country that believes that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are going to be the saviors. There's not one.
Yeah,
there's not one.
Did you see that video? Did you see that video?
Yes. But that's
people they got a reparations check.
Do you know why that is? And this goes back to region. Me and you talk about this. It goes back to region. Where they were in D.C., I grew up in the DMV. D.C., Maryland, Virginia.
What is the DMV for L.A. folks?
L.A. folks, DMV is D.C., Maryland, and Virginia. For those who do not understand, D.C. services two states, Northern Virginia and Maryland. And where I grew up in PG County, I grew up both in Virginia, Fairfax, Virginia, and
Prince
PG
George's
County,
County.
Prince George's County.
Okay.
The region is not just diverse; it's inclusive, meaning that Black folks have access and opportunity to capital. Meaning, if you were in high school and you had an outlet, whether it's education, whether it's through government work, whatever it may be, you have access to better yourself. Don't get me wrong; you still have issues in the community. It's not perfect because, believe me, they know how to kill some folks there. But at the same time, they know how to educate folks and get folks out. So what I'm trying to tell you, that region serviced that region well. That's why they reacted. What's the difference is that here in California and other regions, they don't look at Black folks the same. They don't look at Black folks the same. Let's be real. This is a very, and I learned this the hard way, this is a very, quote unquote, liberal area. But when it comes to the Black community, they fall short very, very hard. So I'm not saying that's across the board. What I am saying is that this celebration of reeling for rejoicing is regional, while other people like myself and people that like down in Georgia right now, they're prepared for the fight because this ain't over.
Thank you for calling in to Melanated Politics. Tell us how you really feel.
How's it going, Eric and David? This is Kevin. How's it going this morning?
Hey, good morning, Kevin. Good morning. Sir? Good to talk to you.
Pretty good. Looking at the landscape, well, first of all, the Democratic Party needs to be let it known that they are the infrastructure put in place by Black people is what really gave the Democratic Party its success.
Okay.
So now it's really up to the Congressional Black Caucus to really put forth an aggressive, measurable agenda that addresses the needs of melanated people, whether it's social, economical, or otherwise. And as David was saying, that the midterms are very, very important because without the Senate, everything is executive orders, like he said, and it'll just be a temporary fix. But I think they're at a time, and I think the thing with Trump, I think he can be used to just keep the Republican Party in disarray. Because what he can do, he can hold all the Republican Party hostages to his whims. He can be the person that can be really adverse to them by holding people to the task, saying that if you don't support what I do, I'll tell my followers not to vote for you. So he can just be used as a weapon
Absolutely.
To the contrary. But I think the thing is now is the midterm and coming up with a measurable, aggressive agenda. And I noticed that Bernie Sanders will be looked at as a cabinet member. Now, socialism, America is socialism in the aspects. Look at corporate bailouts and things like that.
Yes.
But I think that'll also keep the young people ingrained into the Democratic Party. I think that's a good tool of strategy to have Bernie. And just go ahead and not have the right turn socialism into a curse word the way they did liberalism, which made us start using the term progressive.
Right.
Because America is pseudo-socialism in a lot of respects.
Yes.
Social Security, look how tax revenues are used for highways, infrastructure.
Yeah.
I could go on and on and on. But I think the thing now is the Congressional Black Caucus to come out with an aggressive, measurable agenda and the midterms to seal the Senate. And I think with that, that'll be a start to move the Democratic Party forward in many aspects, whether economic, social, or otherwise.
I agree. Hey, Kevin, real quick, do you feel that Joe Biden needs to come out with a black agenda as an executive order? Like, 'cause that's what me and Eric were just kind of debating here. Or do you think he should? To me, I feel like he should play chess and win those Senate seats first, so things are coming along.
I think you should do just like President. Don't necessarily label it a black agenda, but understand behind the scenes what you do have intended consequences that will disproportionately benefit blacks.
I got you.
It's kind of like a scholarly approach. You know, when you're the president, you have to be everyone's president, and you don't want to seem like you always like you alienating another. But I think if he talks to President Obama President Obama would show him the stealthy way of going about that, the same way Donald Trump uses dog whistle politics and coded messages for his followers.
Hey, Kev, thank you so much for the call. Really, from the bottom of our hearts, we appreciate it, and looking forward to talking to you another time. You have a great day.
Yeah, you better do the same, man.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
Take care.
All
right, peace.
One last thing with respect to everything that brother just said. Don't have a straightforward, upfront, outright, no cut, no chaser, black agenda. Well, Donald Trump said he had, what, 500 billion, an agenda for. So what do you say to someone that said you should have voted for Trump? Regardless of every other policy. Okay, now let's go back to let's go back to the momentum that you were talking about. So many sisters, so many melanated queens literally put Joe Biden in office, not only literally voting by mail, voting in person. Our sister Queen Stacey Abrams, I love that sister, very intelligent, very informative, very passionate. Hopefully she'll have a seat at the table in the Biden administration, but we'll see what happens with that. So as far as the momentum that's just rained down, let's go ahead and take a look at that video.
Black women have emerged as the key voting bloc for the Democratic Party, and yet the issues impacting us most are rarely at the center of campaigns or platforms. We have shown that Black women are passionate citizens, courageous leaders, and strategic visionaries on the forefront of the battles for our more perfect union. Now, before you Gina Rodriguez or All Lives Matter me, yes, many groups are influential in politics, and everyone is essential in our democratic process. However, in this here video, I'm talking specifically about Black women, how they showed up, and how they continue to show out in the political process, in the past, in the present, and most likely in the future, outperforming their racial and gender counterparts.
I just want to say real quick, in Detroit, in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, in Philadelphia, in Atlanta, Georgia, you see how Black women and melanated people in general, but as we talked about, Stacey Abrams led the fight, led the charge for us to vote and flip those states. Very important to understand that. And I can't forget the Native American women in Arizona and Latino women. But since we're talking about melanated, we're talking about our sisters. Yes, in Atlanta, and in Philly, and in Detroit, and in Milwaukee. Thank you.
Who will actually run the Democratic? Who will actually run the party known as the Democrats now that 2021 is right around the corner? There's been just so many presidents and prime ministers from other countries that went ahead and gave Joe Biden his props, made the phone call. Congratulations, Joe. And VP Madam Harris. Last time I checked, Trump did concede, but he still said it was rigged. But that's another topic. That's another show. But the Congressional Black Caucus, okay, the so-called far left, the Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, Alexandria
Ocasio-Cortez,
that crowd, will they beat out the traditionalists, your Joe Bidens and your Dianne
Feinstein
and your Nancy Pelosi's from, as the Republicans called her, that San Francisco Democrat? Who will actually run the Democrats from this point forward? One of my favorite Congresswomen, love her to death,
Maxine Waters.
Congresswoman Omar.
Okay, I'm sorry, tripping.
Yeah, Congresswoman Omar.
Yes.
I mean, as far as Fox News goes, it doesn't get any more progressive than this dear sister.
Absolutely.
But I'll tell you what,
Rashida Tlaib too.
Yes, let's let Congresswoman Omar speak for herself as far as the progression of the progressive movement from this point forward?
There have been a number of down-ballot Dems who are progressive, supported by the Justice Democrats, won their primaries, likely going to Congress. How does that make you rethink kind of the power that you'll have with the Biden administration if they win to enact on these things?
You know, a president is only as successful as his collaboration is with Congress. And we will have a cohort of progressives that are very clear about their objectives for wanting the implementation of, you know, Medicare for all and a Green New Deal, and raising the minimum wage and not allowing for fracking.
If Biden's elected, are there any positions that you think a progressive Democrat should absolutely be in this spot in a Biden administration?
I would say all of the cabinet positions should be filled by progressive Democrats. We know that the policies we advocate for are most popular with the American people.
If that's the case, why do you think that Joe Biden's the nominee if he doesn't support all these policies?
I think sometimes there is a disconnect, really, in the person that you might believe should lead, and the policies that you might believe should be implemented. We know at every single exit poll, you know, Medicare for all was 60%, 70%, 80% in some places throughout the primary. And, you know, those were not only the places where Bernie was leading, they were places where Joe was leading. And so that should signal to Joe Biden that
I'm going to Somalia. Going to Somalia. Go ahead.
Let me know when you're going.
That's right, brother.
What Ilhan Omar was talking about was very true, but the one thing that's missing in that conversation is that when you're talking about Medicare for all, the Green New Deal, all that's really important, but I pretty much can guarantee that the black women and that came out, and the black folks that came out in Detroit, in Milwaukee, and in Philly, and in Atlanta weren't thinking about the Green New Deal. The conversation on who controls the Democratic Party is a layered one. But the one thing that progressives and moderate to conservative Democrats are missing is that for the folks that put Joe Biden over the top, their specifics of what we need may not be in line with what they're talking about. And it's going to be up for the CBC and everybody to get together and say, okay, we got to stick together because we can't do this without each other. But there's parts of this is going to need, but this is what's going to take. This is going to take front and center, and we'll see how it goes. That's my thoughts. I think Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, AOC, Ayanna Pressley, all of them are amazing, and at the same time, you got to look at the data on what got Joe Biden over. Native Americans weren't. Healthcare, Medicare for all definitely is a big deal. Healthcare in the Navajo Nation and among the black community is very real. But if you can't deal with the racial inequities, then it's going to be challenging to get anything moved. Because right now in the progressive movement, you have some saying, hey, leave the racial equities and identity politics out, and they win more seats. Still trying to garner that 70 plus million Trump voter. Same with conservative Democrats who lost in some of their districts. They're like, look, stop talking about BLM and defunding the police. If a pandemic doesn't flip the voters in your district, then I'm sorry, I feel bad for you. It's not. There's nothing that's going to flip them. No matter, we can change Black Lives Matter to All Lives Matter, it's still not going to get them to vote for a party that has a great portion of melanated people in it.
Facts.
Facts.
As always, our tongue is our gun and our wisdom is our ammunition. Thank you so much for tuning in to Melanated Politics. We will be on next Sunday, 10:30 to 11:30, streaming live on Facebook at Morris Media. Peace.
Peace.
We're out.